Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Wow. Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to the show. This is a very special show today for a lot of reasons. I want to tell you why. One is that I have very special host on our network that's joining us here today that represents the epitome of transformation, really the essence of chrysalis when we think about chrysalis, right? But when you talk about this, there are things that happen to each of us that have us self-examine. And sometimes if you're like me in my life, self-examination stops right there. You know, there be points in time in my life where, I got an epiphany about who I was, but then I stopped the process. Because once you find out about who you are, there's a next step. And that next step is not for the lighthearted. And I will tell you that for me, I was a lot like that earlier in my life. You know, I showed up as real courageous. I participated. I was working my way through school. But there's something that we learn, and that's what you're going to hear about today, is what happens with divine guidance. Because it is the core essence to every decision that I make. And I know every decision that my special guest, Patricia McNair, makes, every decision that her organization, Divine Guidance Solutions, every part of who she is and what she's becoming and who she is to become is to be in service and a guiding light for that. And so when she and I get to do a show like this, we're not only talking about, I love the way she describes herself. Free child, good sunshine woman, Starlight Unity woman, born in Canada. Gotta love our Canadian friends and hosts, but born with ability to see. Now, each one of us is born with an ability to see, but then what do we do with it? So if you know who she is, you understand joy and passion to serve and share and be part of the gift in the world. But there's something else. You look at who you are and where you want to go, and you decide, I have to do a little bit more. I have to open a little bit more. I have to share a little bit more. I have to take risks a little bit more in order to help people that are right here in front of me do the same. And when you do that, that's when you create something that is so powerful that understands the nature, COVID, post-COVID, pre-COVID, no COVID, that says we're all connected through oneness. And that oneness is that we are all connected. I want to introduce every one of you to Trish McNair. Trish, great to have you here.
Thanks, Dr. Pat. I love spending any time with you. It's an amazing platform that you've built and that you're continuing to transform. I mean, you're living up to that name. Absolutely. I love being a host here. I don't think you'll get rid of me for a very long time. I love being here.
But isn't it wonderful? You see, some of the things I was talking about and just shared a few minutes ago was that you and I both, and we've taken this journey together now for several years, and there are many other hosts that don't know that. And then there are several that do. Sharon Martin is one of them, certainly Mary Jane Mack, but there are others we've worked with that you could see that we started at a place several years ago, and we have been called to evolve and change and grow. Now, for me as a network and the people here that produce this and that run it, we've had to adapt to the growing needs that all of you want to bring forth in the world. And this is exciting. And people that are listening should know that we don't stay stale and stagnant. And part of this is taking some risks. So let's talk about you, because you've gone through short of a chrysalis. You've gone through an opening, a metamorphosis, a transmutation. Let's talk about that in terms of how you see the world now and how you're coming forward in the world.
Wow. I love being interviewed by you because you get right to the heart of it. There's not a person on this planet at this time that is not going through some form of transformation. This beautiful divine planet has already obtained ascension. She's now connecting with her galactic family and obtaining information she didn't have prior to her ascension. So she's bringing that down into this divine form and inviting everything upon her to the party. And I certainly want to be right up there going, woohoo, woohoo. So with that, the energies, the frequencies, the knowing, the knowledge, this gateway of separation is being dismantled. We are now free. We're free to be in spiritual form. Not only are we free to do that, now we have the work to do that. And that's the task that a lot of people have become very conveniently in their little corners of spirituality. And then you have the other ones. We've actually done a show on this, the glamorous spiritual people. You've got so many different layers out there. The one thing that I can say is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We are creators, divine children, beings in form. We need to remember and know that we already are connected.
Yeah.
It's here. Carve away everything that's not connected to you and the creator, and there you are.
You know, it's really interesting we're talking about this, because I'll tell you why. You're right. There is this common thread about spirituality. Where we differ is in our delivery. For example, I created something called Street Smart Spirituality like a decade and a half ago, because all of those things you mentioned were not working for me, for who I was and my style. And so when I talk about my version of Street Smart Spirituality, it is really cutting to the chase. It's really saying, let me ask you a question. Patricia, let me ask you a question. You're in New York City and it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you know you got to get from Avenue A to Avenue B. And you know that is a New York City block. But there's something that goes on in the craziness of your mind that says to you, I'm going to take this shortcut. Oh, there's a shortcut. But wait a minute, it's down the dark alley. And by the way, the dark alley doesn't have any lights on it. And oh my gosh, I can't even see hardly the end of it. But you decide to take that anyway. You see, what then do we have to know for ourselves before we step into the darkness? What do we have to understand about the darkness before we take that level of risk? Because I don't think that anybody wants to step into the darkness. It's a great tool and it's great learning, but there's darkness, and then there's New York City, 3 a.m. in the morning, dark alley darkness, right?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. But my first thing, Dr. Pat, would be, are we stepping into the darkness, or are we allowing the darkness to step into us?
Absolutely,
that would be
right?
the balancing factor for me, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well, here's what you're saying. See, it's only an alleyway that looks dark until I step into it. Once I step into it, the darkness is all encumbering, right? It's all encompassing. But this is really so important because I've watched you change and grow, and now I see what you're doing in the world. You've always done it. I mean, you've always done it. But now we get to step into a fuller range of who we are. You know, people still, I'm going to take ownership for this. People look at us and they are amazed after they're part of the network, what we do. But we don't do a good enough job yet at showing people all the things we do. And this is really the next level of evolution for us, and we're planning that. You ran into the same thing, though. You had to redefine yourself. Tell us about how you redefined yourself.
I was stuck in, I got through worthiness. That took a long time. You're really good.
Working on it.
And then I got stuck, and I stepped into a gooky, beautiful looking rainbow called humbleness. And my husband continued telling me, Trish, you're too humble. Trish, you're too humble. And I thought, there's no such thing as too humble. I'm good. I'm fine where I am. But Spirit has been pushing me out and pushing me out to share, to speak, to be, to not worry about what others think, because I've been persecuted for my gifts so much in this lifetime. I've been totally misunderstood as being egotistical because I'm confident in my gifts and I'm passionate. And so people take that as a different energy. And you know what? I really don't shivaget anymore. I am shifting through that. I am just going for it because this is my domain. This is what I came here to do. I came here to be an open trans channel, to allow the messages to come through and to let people know that they are divine. And there's no way out of this. You are divine, whether you choose to be, know to be, or work on it or not. You're divine. There's nobody, no alien, no anything, no energy that can prove to you you're not. Simple. You are.
I mean, I'm going to take a break. And when we come back, there is a connecting dots to this story. You know what I realized? I hope the new producers are listening to this. We have new producers and they've been in a very different kind of training. But what I realized is I haven't even done this with Lydia or Jacob. You see, a lot of times when we live at 36,000 feet above sea level, not all the time, we forget that there's a process we can explain to people that would help them.
Mm-hmm.
I had the epiphany talking to Brett a few minutes ago, where I realized that if I'd have just explained this one tool that they could learn, just this one thing that I do, like breathing, it would have saved them. And so whose ownership is that? That's my ownership. Mm-hmm. For not sharing something that I do so intuitively that later on today, I'm going to share that with them, because everyone is here. And everyone that has a question, searching. When we come back, In Search of Divine Guidance is what we're going to talk about, because it's not just something you created. It's a way of living. And when we come back, we're going to have Patricia McNair walk us through this, what she's now defined and actually redefined. And what happens when you do step into owning who you are? That level of personal power that nobody else can define for you. Do you become unlimited? Lydia, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with the show. Okay, I got to tell you, I just got to stop for a minute, because those of you that have listened to the show, our theme used to be the song Clocks from Coldplay. And that was our theme forever. I mean, people would walk into the grocery store and they'd hear the Dr. Pat show in their brains, right? And it's an interesting story because we're going to talk about this from a divine guidance perspective. And I'm going to make sure you have all of the websites that you can check out what Patricia's doing. But here's the thing. Why did we stop playing that? Because I get emails even now, like, why aren't you playing it? Very simple answer. I don't even think Coldplay knows this, but we did get their permission years ago. Don't ask me where that email is. I can't tell you. I don't know. It came through their fan base. But when we were pulled, our show was pulled for playing it, I had to think of an alternative. The music you hear, this is why we're so blessed. This is what I love about our journey, and Patricia is going to tell you about hers. People show up and you wonder, they're here to do something, what that is. That song you hear, that song is a gift from Nick Johnson, who was an intern for us when we were back at 444 Green Lake, everybody in one room trying to build a network. Today, I want to introduce you again to Patricia, who is here in the world. And when you think about Patricia McNair, this is what you're going to find out. All of us have to face ourselves. We have to face the world situation. And then we have to ask ourselves, what am I now called to do? That's my meditation. We're going to talk about divine guidance. Before we do, how do people find out for themselves? How can they go to the website as you and I begin to talk about that? What is the best place to send people?
I sent in my form. It is Divine Guidance Solutions.earth. You can get there by divineguidance.earth. I've made it easy for both ways. I built up a new website, which represents the transformation that I've been not only asked, pushed, and shoved into, because divine guidance means doing what I know is guidance, whether Patricia likes it or not. And I've been doing that a lot in the last year, stepping out of my comfort zone and following through with faith and trust. So my website is divineguidance.earth. I have it split into some different sections. The show here and all my shows from TTR are loaded on shows in events page. So you can get the up-to-date show that I host on there. I've been doing allowing people to record me trans-channeling. And I realize I've missed a lot of what I shared because I don't know. When you're in open trans channel, you don't know. So I've allowed somebody that I truly trust, and she's been recording she's asked me trigger questions, I trans channel, she records it. And so we've been putting some of that up on my website as well, just expressing the fact that I do channel. Was a hard one for me in the last year. Yeah. I channel all the time and I didn't realize how much I did. Yeah. So and I've got a page on there. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, it's on there. If you'd like to invite me to be a speaker at any of your functions or on Zoom or facilitate a message, it's all on my website now. So
yeah, I love that you shared this because 52 weeks ago, we were asked to participate with one of our hosts in doing something we've never done before for them. And, you always look at this and you say, wow, there's a reason this showed up. But then there's part of you that says, oh my gosh, how are we going to do it? How many resources? How much time is it going to take? Is it going to really work, right? We're of several minds when it comes to these decisions, when it comes to growing. But if we tap into, to really take your words right out of your mouth, divine guidance, we will get an answer. Here's the question. We've all gotten these answers, and then we make decisions. But boy, do we need to learn how to stay the course, even when it looks like, Pat, you should have never made that decision. Now, here's the punchline. 52 weeks later, the testimonial and results that we got from the client, 52 weeks, none of us could have predicted results like that. I mean, over 15 million impressions because of the nature of what was done. But how do we stay the course? Because we're going to go up to the top of the mountain, we're going to hit a valley, then we're going to hit a flood zone, may get a tornado, whatever.
Well, it's not always about being on top of the mountain. There's a lot of work to do in the valley too,
I just jump off it. I just jump off the mountain and skydive.
There you go. It's about you have to have faith and trust in self before you can have faith and trust outside. If you live as a carpenter, after about 30 years, you're going to be able to do carpentry work with your eyes closed. So it's a choice of living. If you want to live with spirit in your life, then you get up in the morning and you say, good morning. How are you, Patricia? Yes, we're starting a new day, soul. Come on in, creator. I invite you into my day. Let's go do it. And that if I miss that in the morning, I feel like I'm walking around without somebody, and it triggers me to remember to invite spirit back in. And you ask for your priorities. And the main one, I think you've heard me say it over and over and over again, is set me into divine action and motion. I don't need to know all the answers of what I'm going to do. All I know is that I'm here to do what I'm guided to do, what my heart and soul wants to do. And I'm guided to do it for the good of all, not just self-serving. So being of service is also being able to listen to divine guidance.
Look, I've explained my spiritual practice on air, and I get the most interesting emails. I really am, as my friend and co-host would say, Mark Anthony, you're a street smart spiritualist. And I've had to figure out what he means by that. Of course, he knows what he means. But here's what I've learned. I get up and I have the same question every day. People ask me if I get a little bored with myself. I don't. And the question I ask every day and then throughout the day is, God, Spirit, universe, Mother Earth, what is mine to do today? Now, a lot of the times when I get emails, and thank you, Jackie, thank you, Susie, all of you, just love you. They ask me, really? Some days I get an email that says, I get a message that says, Pat, today, what's yours to do is your laundry. Do it first. Mm-hmm. See, I'm oversimplifying, but let's talk about what your messages do and how we've created this imagination that spirit, divine guidance, holds back from us.
No,
right?
Not at all. Not at all. There are spiritual teachers tapping their feet, waiting for people to ask them a question, and then they'll be right in there. And I think you were saying the same thing as I was saying, but in your way, and that's the beauty of it. Words get in the way. Labels get in the way. You know, you do you, I'll do me, and when we're meant to work together, we'll work together, but we're already working together when we're not. We're all unified. We're all in oneness. And your oneness is needed for this particular part. My oneness is needed in this particular part. And we bring it all together. We bring it all together because there's no competition, no confliction. You and I could work on juicy fruit and it will flow, because that's just, you know, we love each other, we respect each other, and we love our differences together.
Right.
And that's what needs to return, you know, this higher and lower. And I've been doing this, and I'm a Reiki master, double unified. I don't know. People got so many big highfalutin names, and they're teaching the same energetics, just different labels and different courses. And it's about being love. It's about being love, and love on a deeper level. And it's about being in service, not self-will. Self-will will always give you 24 reasons not to hear spirit.
And I got to tell you, there's nothing wrong with having a little self-will, but isn't the essence of divine guidance to learn how to integrate the energies, to really learn how, you know, look, you know what the greatest thing that I discovered along the way? I used to say that I was the pilot of the ship. I mean, for a lot of my years of my life. And then I realized I'm not. I'm the co-pilot. You know, there's another thing like operating over there, right? Whatever. Some people call it God. Some people call it Jesus. Some people Ba'ula. Some people call it, you know, right? Buddha. Mm-hmm. Some people have different traditions, right? You know, some deities have 99,000 gods, 99 million. I think that's what my friend told me. But it doesn't really matter. Isn't it the point that we realize at some point in time in our lives, there is a ship we're on. We're not really the pilots.
Yes, there is. And there's a difference, Dr. Pat, between self-will and self-care.
Thank you.
Okay. Self-care is a
Boom.
different story, right?
Yeah.
You can't be kind outside if you're not kind inside. Simple. If you're not being kind to yourself, you're out there playing hero or persecutor or rescuer. You're playing with it. And self-will is just mean that I'm not going to live every day in my breath of just being Patricia, doing for Patricia. I could not live that way. If I had nothing, I would have to give something because that's my joy.
Yeah.
Not to be a martyr. There's no martyrs in this lifetime. There's no more martyrs. Simple. So get over the martyrism, get down off your pedestal and come and see us because you're street smart and you are of raw and pure intent. And there's a lot of raw angels that are kicking butt right now, Dr. Pat.
Yeah, no kidding. And by the way, I don't know if all you ever read anything written down in scripture or different deities. When you look at some of them angels and some of those, what do we call them? Beings, let's call them, that floated around according to these documents. Oh my goodness. Hesitation was not in their vocabulary. We're going to take a short break, but I want everybody to know you can go to divineguidance.earth. That's one way to get there. You're going to also be able to look at what Patricia is doing. You're going to be able to take a look at her blog. And when we come back, we're going to extend the journey. And it's a fascinating one because both of us are on it, is what happens when you say yes to do a show? And then you find out it's not just a podcast, it's live streaming video. What happens? Do you expand or do you constrict? Do you grow or do you diminish? Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Wow. I love it. I love that.
It too.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning us in. I got to stop my table from wobbling here. I want to make sure everybody is aware. First of all, I'm talking to Patricia McNair. She is the creator of what we're talking about here, and that is Divine Guidance. And you can go to divineguidance.earth and you will see information about who she is, how she is transforming, and how that transformation turns out to be of service to you all. This is so important. It's part of what we're talking about here today. You know, when we are, stepping into that field of what is happening with divine guidance, we are talking about the fact that, I've referred to our journey and all of us here as adaptogens because we have had to adapt. We got something awesome planned, but there are decisions you have to make. And sometimes they're tough decisions. My mom used to say, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. But I want to ask you this. Along the way, things show up in our lives. Like this. I never thought 20 years ago, I'm coming up on a 20-year anniversary for the Dr. Pat Show. Man, I didn't think I'd be doing this 20 minutes. And then 4 weeks ago, I found out that the gentleman who was responsible for the Transformation Network's launch, Chris DiPaolo out of WBLQ, gave us the platform to launch our network, Transformation Talk Radio. The circumstances that led up to it were not planned. Literally, Greg was supposed to be launching a network, but he wrote a bad check. And Chris came after me and said, you need to give me $2,200 and you need to start a network. He passed away very suddenly. It was a shock to all of us. 49 years old. Jessica and I just talked to him, but it made me stop and think. So many people I'm grateful for. All of you as hosts. We would not be here without you. As a network, we would not. And now moving to the Transformation Network, we would not be doing this without your input or your insight, your blessings. You have held hope for us at times where I couldn't muster it up. There's an exchange that happens for us here at the network that I know happens for you. But there's much more. than just signing up to do a podcast, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's for me, my first go at this, Spirit had me do Facebook Lives. I had no idea what I was doing, and nobody could talk back to me. And I was so confused and so frustrated. What do you got me doing this for? Who really wants to hear what Patricia has to say? Right? There's a lot of people out there talking. Let them talk. And they continued to do that until one of your beautiful beings, Bonnie, looked at my old website, contacted me, and you and I met, and I realized you and I worked in many lifetimes together. So in that recognition, I knew that it was something that I had to do, but how was I going to do it? How was I going to get on and actually be of service to the network, myself and others? How was I going to do that? And so I clouded it a bit with guests and made them shine. And this is a spot for other people to have a voice, right? Because I was too scared to take my own voice and go with it. And you know that's the truth. I got nothing to hide. So I brought on all kinds of guests because I was having a platform for other people to have a voice. And that's what I was doing. And no, I'm having a platform for my voice. I'm a tool. I have messages that are to be given out. What people do with them is theirs to do. Like you said, decisions. I say choices. Same thing, different banner. But there are simple, basic spiritual laws, spiritual tools people can't use if they don't know, right? If you knew you could use an electric can opener and you had a bad hand trying to use an old one, and all of a sudden, there's an electric can opener that's going to relieve your hand so it can heal. What are you going to do? So, and me, I speak kind of just down to earth. There's no highfalutin with me.
That's right.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I find that my response has been that people actually can relate to that. They can relate to the fact that I'm going to call BS. I'm going to dance with them where I need to dance. And then I'm going to say, okay, you need to work on this part of the dance before we get into the next. I have no problem. I don't need to do what's not my part to do. I have no ego in this. I have passion. I have confidence. And I have the belief that everybody is divine and beautiful.
Yeah.
If they choose to be, fine. If they don't, get out of my lane. Yeah. I'm not here for that.
I love that you're bringing this up because it brings me to two people that come to mind. And I'm going to say, I think they're both controversial. One of them has transitioned on, but the other one is still on the planet. And there are more people like them, but I want to just mention these two because they were great teachers for me. Now, okay. I have to say, I'm not really evolved quite to where they are. But when I heard you just talk, you reminded me of them. When I met Sylvia Brown, I had a perception of who she was. Yes, she was on Montel. I mean, but then I thought about what this woman did for people like her in the world. Now, many people may not know who she is at the moment. She's not with us any longer. But I got to know her up close and personal. And what you find is she was exactly what you described. And people loved her for exactly the reasons you said. Because we're living in a world now where people want you to cut to the chase. And are you going to help me or are you not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I will say, Sylvia was rough on me in a good way. Carolyn Mace was the other one. I had more people take themselves off of a mailing list because of the way she ended a show for me. And I knew she was joking, but she's Carolyn. Again, brilliant. I learned a lot from her. People love her and loved her with Anatomy of the Spirit because she did not dilly-dally around with them. These two were ahead of their time and took a lot of grief for the way you and I get to be today. But the world wants us to be direct. They want us to be compassionate. They want us to cut to the chase. They want help. Isn't that what you're discovering in what you're bringing in the gift to the world? That you've been asked to show up as Patricia McNair. You. People want you.
Yeah, amazingly so, because here Patricia McNair was trying to find where to emanate from. Like, do I do this person, this person? Not that I wanted to copy someone, but
No.
I didn't feel like I fit in to any of those damn boxes. So I had to make my own box. And
Yeah.
thanks to you and your network, I'm creating that outside box pretty well.
And the reason I brought up Sylvia and Carolyn is because, you know, Sylvia was so direct with me. And this was way back before I had the network when I first met her. And she was so direct with me, and she laid it out. She says, you're not called to be an imposter. Why are you living imposter syndrome? And, you know, you never forget words like that. And that's her. Get over yourself.
Yeah, I know. I've been told that. Very dear friends.
I didn't understand what look, I'm telling you, it took me a bunch of years to figure it out. But this is where you have figured it out. And that's the message for today. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about, okay, I figured it out. Now what? See, I love the debate I had with Eckhart Tolle, and still have it with Eckhart Tolle. And I said, dude, I love the whole power of now thing. Ram Dass did it first. But, you know, to be honest with you, you know, even now that I've just talked to you, we are already into the power of next. When we come back, we're going to talk about the power of next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Patricia McNair right here on the show. Oh, God. Oh my God. Welcome back, everybody. Yeah. We were just talking about my latest doctor's recommendation for my toe. I got to remember that.
That's why they call them practicing doctors.
Oh my
right?
God. Next time I get on the phone with them, I'm just going to do the quack quack thing. I love that. That's perfect. Thank you. Hey, everybody, listen. If you were just listening to the exchange, what you'd have realized is that I was just sharing with Patricia about my foot, and immediately she got an intuitive hit on it. We call it divine guidance, and off we go now. I have a solution that I didn't have before, but I can't go into my studio because I was in there yesterday, and I'm walking up and down the halls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not enough Tylenol that I could possibly take to help me. But this is why we're here. We're stepping out. You're stepping out. I want to ask you what stepping out was like for you, because I know for me, my friends still think that they want to get me committed.
That's why I got none.
I had somebody say to me the other day, dude, sell the network. You sell the network for a couple of million, and I'm like, why? Why would I do that? But that's what stepping out does, doesn't it? I mean, we're going to attract stuff. Tell me what stepping out looked like for you.
Stepping out means stepping it up, right? I was not comfortable, but also, you know, I have to be fair to myself because I've been involved with a lot of earth work. I wasn't meant to be working with the people at that time because I'm working with the deities and the energies and with Mother Earth and what was going on with that. So I got really comfortable not working with people. So coming back into working with people is different because now it is about the people. Now it is about the divine, beautiful beings who are here, who wish to live upon this planet, respecting and honoring each other in a way that they have not had the freedom to do before. So, you know, it's great if a being has been programmed and controlled in such a way, it's really difficult. when the freedom is there to go, oh, I can do that. So empowering people to empower people to empower people. That's always been what I choose to do, wish to do, love to do. I'm not going to tell everybody what to do and how to do it. I'm not their mother. But I'm going to give you tools. I'm going to give you information. I'm going to communicate with your soul, your oversoul, give you facts that you're not listening to. And then, darling, you get on the horse and ride. If you want to maintain that, okay, and you're actually doing some work, then you come back and talk to Patricia. But if you come back to talk to Patricia when you haven't attempted to do layers of your work, I know it. And I'm going to be too busy until you start doing some of your work. Now, people may see that as judgmental. The grandmothers always told me, it is wonderful. It is part of our being to care. It is an atrocity to them and to me to carry. So I'm not going to carry anybody because I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to do any harm to them. And I don't want to do anything that's not mine to do. Yeah. So that's discipline. But I'll always be there for an ear. I'll always be there to encourage you. I'll always be there to say I love you. But don't try and pick my brain. Don't try and get me to give you information that I'm not divinely guided to give you. Mm-hmm. Don't come make friends with Patricia because you think that every dinner party is going to be a fortune telling session. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I will speak up and say, sorry, I'm not supposed to share on this with you. And that's a difference where I bluntly let people know you're doing it. You don't need my boards. You don't need my range. You don't need my safety net. You're doing it. Keep doing it. Keep being you. Keep growing, love.
Yeah. See, that's part of that's the core essence of coaching and learning. You know, I mean, those of us that do play sports or went back to school, really school is not my strength at all. It took me 13 years to get an undergraduate degree. I'm just saying. But, you know, those of us that have had great teachers, like I had in my doctoral program, did exactly what you said. You know, you're going to get the guidance you need. Then you got to pick up the ball and run with it. Then you got to realize what parts of this do I know? How much more guidance do I need? And, you know, it's a dance that you get to do. But when you cannot get to the point where you realize that you have fully empowered, that you have learned a few things, the next step is for you to get out and try them on your own. That's all we're saying. These are learning principles. This is the way you work with people now, right?
Yeah. Because their support next should not be me. Unless it's another initiation or another high level. Their support should be everyone around them. Because that's who and what we learn from. We learn if that energy feels good. We learn if that person puts people down. We learn if that person is always helping others. We learn from the people we place in our lives. And you know what? A lot of transitional changes are happening. People are letting go of people.
They are.
That they thought they couldn't live without.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the opposite is happening too.
Yeah.
You know, there are people in my life where I'm looking and saying, what am I doing? You know, this person is so important to me. You know, what am I doing? And, you know, we're so full of mind manipulation that happens. Divine guidance, though, if we are to tap into the essence of what you're saying, we will be guided immediately. We will know.
We invite our spiritual mind to work with our physical brain. We invite the etheric, the spiritual, the soul, the universal, the spark that we are in all of oneness to help to guide us. That's divine guidance, not just listening to Patricia's intelligence or my physical brain or whatever emotions I'm feeling today. Having the discipline to ask the whole being. And that's why part of it is focusing on the whole being, which means making your choices with your whole being. Taking that extra 10 seconds to tap in and allow all of your being to have a voice and a say in how you're going to live.
You know, it is so exciting to be taking the journey with you. I mean, I don't know if you all listen to this or you're just tuning in, but when each person decides they're going to walk this walk together, and I think you said it earlier, definitely there's a connection in another life. Um, and so you're able to honor each other all along the way. But for me, it is an honor to be able to work with you, to be able to see what you're doing, to be able to see not only, the change in what you're doing, but how willing you are to step out into the world and take the action that needs to be taken. And I think that's an important part of our message as we go into 2023. We know what it takes to do that. We want to support people do that. I'd love to have you please remind people, if you don't mind, how they can work with you, how they can find out more about you, tell them all of the above, and let's make sure folks can connect with you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Dr. Pat. I am at connect@divineguidance.earth is my email. Email me anytime about anything. And also divineguidance.earth is my website. I've got a form on there. You can pick a service or an other. Drop me a line, drop me a chat. Let's do it. I've just recently hooked up with Unified, and I'm loving the energy over there. I've not taken any action on it yet because I haven't been guided, but I'm on there and I'm ready. I'm setting up and ready to launch my own YouTube channel. Woohoo! Finally. And I'm going to be moving away. Yeah, I know. I said that because you guys advised that for so long. I didn't have the confidence in it, so now I'm doing that. I'm moving away from Facebook. I don't like Instagram. I'm on there, but I'd like to pull myself off of there. And I'm also on Telegram, but I haven't started my group on Telegram. I'm doing a lot of work with a lot of different organizations.
Yeah.
What they're into right now is they want some workshops of some basic tools to start living this, and to start living this way. And whether it's baby steps or giant steps, they're choosing to live this way.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a way of living that I'm helping to bring forward.
Well, thank you so much. I love this. I love taking the journey with you. And by the way, we're evaluating all of those platforms for ourselves. I got to give a shout out to Vimeo and the executive staff at Vimeo who is working with us. Stuart, I got a shout out to one of the executives over there. I never thought in a million years that people would get who we are and be so willing to work with us. And it's like you said, people will come, the right people show up. I never thought in a million years that I'd be able to have a conversation with a company like that who gets our vision as a network and who has built a way for us to get the word out there, hence Transformation TV. So thank you, Trish, for everything you've done. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. I love you dearly, Dr. Pat.
Yeah, I called her Trish. I know I'm supposed to call her Patricia, but you'll always be Trish to me.
No worries.
Oh my God. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on. Lydia, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. And thank you for being the best audience on the planet. We'll see you next time.